Amitabha, everyone. Please put your palms together and recite the Buddha's name. Homage to our fundamental teacher, Shakyamuni Buddha. Homage to our fundamental teacher, Shakyamuni Buddha. Homage to our fundamental teacher, Shakyamuni Buddha. Today, we will investigate the Sutra of the 10 kinds of wholesome deeds. This sutra, among all sutras, covers the most fundamental teaching and the core of all Buddha Dharma. It is the foundation of our cultivation. However, fundamentals are often overlooked by us because we perceive them to be easy. Those fundamentals are the most important because they form the basis of all three vehicles of Buddha Dharma. The fundamentals are the foundation of a building. Without a solid foundation, you cannot build anything on top. Many people have studied many sutras, for example, the Avatamsaka Sutra, Lotus Sutra, Shrengama Sutra. They have studied all the major Mahayana teachings, but they failed to put the teachings into their daily lives. Why is that? Because they overlook the fundamentals of practicing Buddha Dharma. We should be aware that Mahayana teachings are like on the third floor. Without the foundations and of the human and deva vehicles that serves as the first two floors, reaching and practicing the greater vehicles teaching on the third floor will be undoubtedly difficult. If we do not practice the 5 precepts and the 10 wholesome deeds in our daily lives, we cannot focus our mind when we do our daily practice, which may include meditation, sutra, or mantra recitation, because we lack the actual practices of benefiting others and ourselves. Now let's review the 7 types of sutra titles and apply them to the Sutra of 10 Wholesome Deeds. The Tentai school has identified the sutra title to have 3 elements: person, dharma, and analogy. So the combination of these 3 elements will form 7 types of sutra titles. Single person, for example, is the Amitabha Sutra, and single dharma is the Mahaparinirvana Sutra. A single analogy is the Brahmanet Sutra. And for person and dharma, this is the Sutra of Prajna question of Manjushri. And for dharma and analogy combination, it is a wonderful Dharma Lotus Flower Sutra. And person analogy is the lion roar of the Kalman Sutra. And the final form is the complete. All 3 elements, person, dharma, analogy, the great universal Buddha flower adorned sutra, which is also called the Avatamsaka Sutra. And for this sutra, this is considered person and dharma. And now we look at the translator. Dharma Master Siksananda is from he arrived in China during the Tang Dynasty, and his name means happy to learn. And he translated many sutras in addition to the 10 Wholesome Deeds Sutra. Also include the famous Flower Adornment Sutra and the Earth Store Sutra. He was influential in the propagation of Buddhism in China. We should be mindful of the translator's contribution. Each sutra has 6 requirements, and we will review them again. First is the requirement of faith. And there's a requirement of time, and requirement of host is the Buddha. And the requirement of space, if a place is the Dragon Palace of Sagara in this place. This is the place where the Buddha speaks the 10 Wholesome Deeds Sutra. It is in the ocean, in the Dragon Palace. So the Buddha not only speaks to the humans, or the heavenly beings, but also to the dragon kings. The scope of living beings who receive Buddha's teachings are very vast, and it fully shows the Buddha's great kindness and great compassion. This dragon king, his name Sagara, it means the great salty sea in Chinese. Sagara Dragon King is also very famous in Buddhism. The Lotus Sutra recorded a dragon girl who realized Buddhahood at the age of 8, and her father is Sagara the Dragon King. The requirement of the assembly is with the 8,000 great bhikshus and 32,000 bodhisattva mahasattvas. In the principal opening statement of this text, the Buddha said, all living beings with different thoughts and intentions create different karma and thus undergo the cycle of various existence. The Buddha said to the Dragon King, there are various kinds of living beings at this assembly in the sea. They are a result of the wholesome and unwholesome Dharma they have created from their minds. Since living beings think differently, their thoughts are also vary in myriad ways. Consequently, the world they create is also different. Why are those beings in hell, hungry ghosts, and animal realms? It's because of their thoughts and deeds align with the respective realms and thus undergo the cycle of various existence. The world living being dwell depends on the various minds we have. Thus, there's a verse in Avatamsaka Sutra said, if people would like to know all Buddhas of the 3 periods of time, they should contemplate the nature of the Dharma realm. Everything is made from the mind alone. The mind determines living beings' realm, be it Buddha, Bodhisattva, Arhat, Prayaka Buddha, Deva, heavenly beings, humans, hells, hungry ghosts, and animals. So according to the Buddha, the great bodhisattvas in this assembly have wonderful and pure forms due to their practices of wholesome deeds, blessings, and virtues. The powerful beings of the Eightfold Divisions are also a result of their wholesome deeds, blessings, and virtues. The living beings of the heat in the sea, in various shapes and forms, coarse or lowly, large or small, are the results of their own thoughts and minds. Body, speech, and mind create unwholesome deeds and resulting karma arise upon themselves. We must understand the cause and effects while practicing wholesome deeds. The Buddha said, you must know that Bodhisattva has one method which enables him to cut off all sufferings of evil destinies. What is this method? This method is the 10 wholesome deeds. What are the 10 wholesome deeds? It's constantly renouncing killing, stealing, sexual promiscuity, lying, slandering, harsh speech, foul speech, lust, hate, and wrong views. What are considered wholesome deeds? They are wholesome dharmas. The human and heavenly beings, the Bodhi of the Shravaka, the Bodhi of the Trayaka Bodhisattva, and the Supreme Bodhi all rely on this Dharma as the foundation for spiritual attainment. Therefore, it is called wholesome Dharma. Wholesome Dharma can help you be reborn as a human, a heavenly being, attain arhatship, attain Prayaka fruition, or ultimately attain Buddhahood in your future lives. In other words, wholesome deeds are dharmas that can allow you to achieve fruition in the 3 vehicles and karmic rewards. Let's look at the very first dharma. Wholesome deed is to refrain from all killings, not to possess weapon or harbor any resentment or hatred, or have a sense of shame or remorse, or to possess complete benevolence and compassion. Such is the conduct of a bodhisattva. And what are the rewards or retributions of refraining from killing? So it'd be free from 10 types of afflictions. One will attain the 10 benefits. First is universally offer fearlessness to all living beings. Second, constantly generate great compassion towards living beings. Third, permanently eliminate all habitual tendencies of anger and hatred. Fourth, body is free of illness. Fifth, has a long life lifespan. And sixth, will be protected by non-human beings. Seventh, will be free from nightmares and experience pleasant sleep. Eighth, distinguished from all conflicts with others will naturally dissolve. And ninth, not be feared in reborn in the lower realms. And 10, upon death, be reborn in heavenly realm. And furthermore, if they dedicate the merits towards attaining enlightenment, they will eventually reach Buddhahood. So in the 10 ground chapters of Avatamsaka Truth Sutra, in the second ground, leaving filth. So what is no killing in Bodhisattva's way? It is leaving all killings far behind, does not collect knives or anything that would harm living beings, and no resentment and no hatred. And the Bodhisattva is endowed with humanness and reciprocity towards all living beings who have a life. He always brings forth thoughts of benefit and kindly mindfulness. The ground of living self is the pure ground of our inherent nature. It is inherently pure. At this state, inherent nature is free of any defiled Dharma. Every thought and conduct are pure and free of filth. A single thought of defilement makes it impure. So again, that is why the Bodhisattva refrain from owning anything that may harm the beings, including knives or staff. And those that the Bodhisattva practice is unwilling, those who are unwilling to receive themselves, they will not reciprocate it on other beings. For example, if the Bodhisattva does not enjoy being scalded, he will then also refrain from scalding other beings. This is a form of patience. To all living beings, this Bodhisattva will be mindful of them and with a heart of compassion will be caring for all living beings and will not cause any forms of affliction on other beings. And since they're benevolent in nature, these bodhisattvas will for sure not be killing any of these beings. And the offense of killing can cause living beings to fall into hells, animals, and hungry ghost realms. If they are reborn among human, they may have two kinds of retribution. One is a short lifespan, two, many illnesses. The worst karma of the 10 wholesome deeds is falling to the hell realm. The second is to fall into the animal realm. Third, fall into the hungry ghost realm. Living beings fall into the hell realm due to killing karma. And there are many different types of hells depending on the various specific karma. And from them, they will receive the retribution. Also, for the animal realm, there are many different shapes and forms of animals due to the different types of killing karma from the past. Same with the hungry ghost realms. They also take on many different forms. If you create 10 unwholesome deeds and fall into the 3 evil realms, you will have to endure the retribution of your wholesome karma. If you're back in the human realm, you will still suffer 2 retributions from killing. Short lifespan or constantly being sick. This is about no killing. Well, next is no stealing. What is consistent stealing? Knowing that the object belongs to someone else, possessing the intention to steal, employing various methods to take the object. The object is taken and removed from its original place. Then the Buddha said to the Dragon King, if one refrains from stealing, then one can obtain 10 virtuous qualities. First is one's material wealth will accumulate abundantly, and thieves, water, fire, even unworthy descendants will unable to disperse or destroy it. So there's no, so this wealth that this bodhisattva accumulate from not stealing will not be easily destroyed even from natural disasters. Second is that those that the bodhisattva is loved and respected by many people. Third, not deceived or oppressed by others. Fourth, praised by all directions. Fifth, not worry about loss or harm. Sixth, will be renowned in their virtuous reputation. Seven, will be fearlessly dwelling among crowds. Eighth, possess wealth, lifespan, beauty, strength, comfort, and will possess complete eloquence and talents. Ninth, has the intentions to give and be generous. 10, be reborn in the heavenly realm. And not stealing in Avatamsaka Sutra, it says the bodhisattva's nature does not steal. The bodhisattva is always content with his own possessions. He is always kind and forgiving towards others and do not wish to encroach upon them. If an item belongs to someone else, it gives rise to the thought of that is someone else's item and will never consider stealing, down to a blade of grass or a leaf. If not given, he does not take it. How much less if any other of the necessities of life? Why do people steal? Because of dissatisfaction, greed, and the inability to stop. If you're content, you will always be happy. If you're content, you will not be humiliated and you know how and when to stop. You're always content and grateful for what you have, you will not break the law. Nor will you be looked down upon and insulted. The ancient says satisfaction without humiliation means that those who can satisfy the status quo will not be insulted by outsiders. The bodhisattva's inherent nature is free of stealing. With respect to inherent nature, the bodhisattva, upon holding the precepts of no stealing, well, not only in its physical form, but also in spirit. The bodhisattva avoids breaking the no stealing precept because he has removed the seed of stealing in his inherent nature. For example, and the retribution of stealing also cause living beings to fall into three evil paths, and when be reborn among people, they have two issues. One is that they're poor, and the second is that their wealth is held in common. They do not have free use of it. They have to share their wealth with others, and it will be difficult for them to accumulate wealth. They don't have a say on their wealth. Next is no evil conduct. In this context, evil conduct is the act of sexual desire between men and women outside of legal marriage. The Buddha said to the Dragon King, if one abstains from engaging in wholesome actions, one will attain the four qualities praised by wisdom. What are those four? First, the faculties of this person will be well-tuned and balanced. Second, one will be permanently free from worldly distractions and disturbances. One will be admired and praised by the world. Fourth, the spouse will not engage in sexual promiscuity. And furthermore, if they can dedicate their merit to attain a perfect enlightenment of the Buddhahood. And in Avatamsaka Sutra, the Bodhisattva's nature does not engage in sexual promiscuity because the Bodhisattva is content with his own spouse and does not seek the spouses of others towards the woman or man protected by others, by relatives and those protected by the law. The Bodhisattva does not even give rise to a thought of greedy defilement, much less follow it into action, and much less giving himself over to what is not the way. And it is so when it comes to sexual misconduct, it arises upon greed. If we don't have greed, then there's no issue of sexual misconduct. So once you have greed, then you'll be confused from what's right or wrong. And the retribution of sexual misconduct will make people fall into the three evil realms. One is that their future spouses will not be good or faithful, or also second is that they will not have a harmonious family. There's a proverb saying that of all the offenses, sexual misconduct is one of the most serious, and then we should definitely not follow this way. So those who are reborn after falling into the evil realm, that one is if you're reborn as a human, your spouse is not faithful because in the past you have made other spouse not faithful. Now we will discuss a story that from a true story told by Venerable Master Hua back in Qing Dynasty. There's a man called Ming Lao. He was a ginseng hunter from the place in Manchuria, what we call Dohuan Station. And these place, there are a lot of people that actually don't really behave themselves and indulge in all kinds of worldly entertainments. And he is as a ginseng hunter, there's several parts in his life. Actually, he did many horrible things. So why he wanted to be a ginseng hunter is because he didn't want to put in capitals to run a proper business. So the easiest way to make money without minimal capital is to be a ginseng hunter. He went hunting for wild ginseng in the mountains, but it's too dangerous to go alone. So he paired with his godbrother, and the two of them came across a gigantic wild ginseng by luck. And this gigantic ginseng, it doesn't grow on plain ground. It actually grows by the cliff side. And usually are in the very remote region of the mountains that people can barely reach. So this Ming Lao and his god brother went into the mountains and did find a gigantic ginseng. And this ginseng that he saw is greater than 8 teals. A 7 teal ginseng is considered rare. And 80 of ginseng is considered treasure, which can promote longevity. The ginseng that they discovered this time would weigh at least 16 teals, with approximately 2 pounds. It must worth a lot. And Ming Lao said to himself, too bad. If I were to share this treasure with my god brother, I can only get half of the profit. So Ming Lao decided to kill his god brother by pushing him off the cliff, which is a rather easy task. And so he secured this wild, gigantic ginseng all by himself and ship it to Beijing himself. And since this ginseng treasure is so big, so he had to put the ginseng into a coffin for easy transportation. And on his way to the imperial court in Beijing, Ming was stopped by the royal guards. Ming was very nervous because the guards might confiscate his ginseng treasure. The guard asked, "Who's in this coffin?" Ming said, "Oh, it's my father." The royal guard inspected the ginseng and saw a dead body of an old man with beard because this ginseng was very big and did resemble the look of a dead old man. So the royal guards led Ming and his ginseng past the gate to enter the palace. So the emperor have never seen such a rare and gigantic ginseng, so he gave him a handsome reward with lots of gold and silver. So on his way home, he bought all the villages spanning 1,500 miles from Beijing to his hometown. From this whole stretch, and how he was able to transport all this gold, he had to hire people to put all these gold and silver on the cart, and along the way he would buy villages and farmlands. And how he made his purchase, he would buy the village or a piece of land all together. So he would tell the villagers, okay, so this whole village, all of you can gather and give me a price. I'll honor your price. So he bought all these lands along the way from his home to Beijing. And he pretty much bought all the villages along the way on his way home. And when he after he bought all the lands, he became an enormously rich landlord just by receiving rents. And even after he spent all this money buying villages and farmland, he still have a lot of gold and silver left. And how he stores all his gold and silver, he he built a mansion for himself, and then for each pillar, at the bottom of the pillar, he would put a stash of gold and silver. However, he has everything except a son. And later, his wife was pregnant and gave birth to a son, which he was very happy. And while he was waiting for his wife to give birth, he was smoking and then drinking, waiting for good news. And at the moment when he was waiting, he actually saw his dead godbrother walking through the front gate. The sight of this dead godbrother sent a chill down his spine. And just then, his maid came and announced that the birth of his son. The news gave him another cold shiver. So he named his son Sanchen, implying that he would return only 30% of what he owed. The child named Sanchen, meaning 3/10, means that when you collect the debt, just take 30%. So when his son Sanchen grew up, he indulged in eating, drinking, gambling, visiting prostitutes, and taking drugs. And when he was growing up, he would laugh when he hear things break. For example, bowls or cups or plates break, he would laugh. So Ming himself knew in full awareness that this son is a debt collector, which was reborn, which was the reincarnation of his dead god brother, which he killed. And this Ming Lao, who is really reluctant to give up what he owed to his dead god brother. And his son really indulged in all these bad habits and enjoys smoking poppy and gambling. And how he wasted his money away with gambling, he would make a bet in the Union of Villages. I will make a bet and by the whole village, several villages, along with all the farmlands. When he win, he would be very upset. When he lose, he would actually be happy. So this Santon is definitely a debt collector. So Ming knew that his good-for-nothing son will one day lose the family's fortune. So Ming said to his son, "You may sell out the mansion, but please do it in parts. If you ever run out of money, the cash will still be enough to last you a lifetime." Since he had gold and silver stashed under each pillar around the mansion, so it's better that the son sell the mansion in pieces. So at least he can still retain some of the gold and silver stashed away under the pillars. So even one stash would be enough for his whole life. However, since the son is very rebellious, so he did the exact opposite. He sold the whole mansion at once in the very cheap price, causing Ming to lose all his life's savings, including his stashed gold and silver. And so Ming, being calculative and deceiving as he is not able to outsmart cause and effect. There's a saying, look up 3 feet, there's divinity. Here, divinity can be interpreted as the messages produced from our thoughts and actions. In other words, it refers to the seeds of the 8 consciousness in the Yogacara school. Whenever we have a thought or perform an action, it becomes a seed in the field of our 8 consciousness. And with those seeds encounter favorable conditions, it will sprout, bloom, and bear fruit. This is the law of cause and effect, and no one can escape it. Killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, lying are the elements that destabilize society. Why do these unwholesome deeds and conducts arise? Is it because of the social systems? It's definitely related to social systems, but social systems are not the root cause. The root cause are people's minds. Killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, and lying exist in society because these unwholesome deeds exist in people's mind. If greed, hatred, ignorance are not resolved, the society will not be at peace, even with a proper social system. So in this sutra, we should really learn from the 10 wholesome deeds and put it into practice. The sutras spoken by the Buddha are all there to help us to create a better and proper routine life that includes all the Dharma, are meant to guide us toward a proper path. But we have to take the necessary steps ourselves to follow this path. If we only know that they are sutras and do not practice according to the meanings of the sutra, even if we listen to the scriptures every day, they will be very unbeneficial. And this is the second last class of the semester, so we will have questionnaires for you to answer. Please tell us about your participation in the course. Was it full attendance, or did you mostly participate in most classes, or you only partly participated in the class? And which part of the course are you most interested in? And what do you think people should be persuaded to study Buddhism? And any of your suggestions with this Intro to Buddhism course series? So please do respond to the questionnaire so we can gain some insights into how you how your thoughts are with all the course so far. And from as a introduction to the next semester, so this class and the next class, the 10 Wholesome Deeds Sutra, is actually setting the foundation for the next semester, which we will focus on precepts. The theme is precepts for the next semester. And it is very subtle in terms of precepts and what we know. Once, while passing by a lay disciple's home, she invited me for a visit. I noticed a large platelet-like object displaying in her living room, and it turned out to be some kind of fungus. She told me she found this fungus while walking in the mountains. She brought it back, thinking it looked beautiful. Later, she discovered it was actually a lingzhi mushroom, which was very happy with it. I advised her that taking something from the nation's property is equivalent to stealing from the country. We should not assume that the items by the roadside are not owned by someone. I'm sure someone may have made similar mistakes in the past. This is why learning the precepts becomes very important. I hope that in the coming semesters, everyone will study diligently and share this knowledge to help more people to understand precepts, improve their characters, and contribute to a more harmonious and progressive society. And that more people understand the importance of precepts. So if you would like to register for the next semesters, please scan the QR code and complete the registration steps. Now we'll do the transference of merit.
好，我们现在回向。愿以此功德庄严佛净土，上报四重恩，下济三途苦。若有见闻者，悉发菩提心，尽此一报身，同生极乐国。礼礼老和尚。 好，阿弥陀佛。